Welcome back to the Damn Yankee Blacksmith Shop. Well, today we're not swinging a hammer. Today I'm making roses. Now, I've done most of the pre-work already, the cutting, and I don't forge weld everything on a rose because it would make the rose way too expensive if I charged by the time it takes to do a forge weld that small that many times. So I use a MIG welder to do some of the points on it, but I take it from this to this. And then I'll paint them. So we're just going to walk through what I'm doing. I'm using an acetylene torch. It's not an oxyacetylene torch, it's a straight acetylene torch that uses atmosphere. It's used mainly to do plumbing, sweating pipes and things like that. And my dad gave me my first acetylene torch when I was working with him quite a few years ago. That was stolen when they stole my anvil a couple of years ago. But I went back to the same company. I had to mail order it from Ohio. Goss is the name of the company, and they make a really nice torch. Doesn't get too hot. But it's plenty hot enough for the 32 gauge flashing that I'm using for the pedals. Now, this has a zinc oxide coating to it. It's galvanized. So I gotta make sure not to take it to the point where the zinc oxidation vaporizes, because that gas is poisonous. So when I'm doing this, I watch closely. If I take it up to the point where I see sparks and a greenish powder appear on the galvanizing, that means it's vaporizing, and that gas is acidic. So you don't want to breathe it in. It's not difficult to avoid if you're paying attention. But like in everything with blacksmithing, if you're not paying attention, you shouldn't be doing it. And that's why sometimes you'll see me not talk for a while. When I'm focused on something, I want to get it right. And talking and doing are two different actions. Now, I'm going to take this up and show you what the gas looks like. I'm going to burn just the edge of this real quick. If you look, you see it start to spark and it'll turn a color. You don't want that. Now, if I was to breathe that in, one of the quick antidotes, not antidote, but one of the first aid procedures is to drink a glass of whole milk. It will counter some of the immediate issues. If you still have a sore throat, I go see a doctor immediately. Or you can avoid working with galvanized metals. Not always possible if you do work with grinding and welding. So I have a respirator when I do a lot of it, what most people call a gas mask. And that respirator allows me to work in a toxic environment much safer. Now I can either close these roses up, or I can leave them open. They're a little bit easier to paint if I leave them open, but some people like them closed, so I've done both this time. I made 6 roses at once, because if you make them one at a time, it's just not cost effective. It costs too much it's much more time. It's 3 hours from beginning to end to make one rose. Oops, don't let your acetylene turn over. That's a bad thing. Okay. No damage done so far. Gotta watch that flame, make sure they get any acetone out the end of it. Now, where was I? 3 hours for one rose, or I can make 6 roses in about 4 or 5 hours. So the cost effectiveness in learning to do a bunch of them all at once just pays for itself if the roses sell. Now, I tried a whole bunch of different pairs of tongs to do this, and I just never could find a pair of tongs that worked just right. And then a friend of mine who was teaching blacksmithing come up with a pair of tongs that I had never, I thought, wow, those are too small, too lightweight, they're not going to work. Well, I'll be damned if they didn't work just perfect for roses. So Craig Eliff, thank you very much, sir. I'm still using these, and I am going to duplicate them. I got another pair over there that I'm working on. Maybe I'll do that this weekend when you're with me at the Antique Adoption Show in Keachie, Louisiana. So if anybody's in the area and would like to stop by, it's going to be a good time. When I'm doing the fine tuning of these petals, I try to copy what a real rose looks like, which is really a plus for me because nature has bugs in it and nature has all kinds of imperfections. You will never find a perfect rose. Easy to find a lot of beautiful roses, but it's hard to find a perfect rose. So I don't even try to make a perfect symmetrical rose. Like in people, it's the imperfections that make us who we are. See, I'm a philosopher and a blacksmith. We're all philosophers. We just don't all word it all that well. And I usually don't, but that one was pretty good, if I do say so myself. All right, well, I did get a little acetylate or acetone in that line, so we're gonna have to restart that. Hopefully, we won't have any problems. Acetone is a material that stabilizes the acetylene in the tank, and if the tank falls sideways, it can cause real problems. I'm going to burn a little bit of it out. That's what that yellow fire is. Now, in an oxyacetylene torch, it's a much more dangerous situation, which is why my oxyacetylene is put in a very stable upright container. I may end up making a platform for that one just so I don't do that again. Put it on the list of 1,001 things that you want to get done, but they all wait until you absolutely need to do them. Who else has that problem, huh? Just everybody on the planet. All right, and just twist out. And what do you think so far? It's getting there, isn't it? Now, I'm not a botanist, so I don't know everything about roses, but I looked on Google for a little bit, and I saw that most roses have 3 to 5 layers. And I've seen guys with 8 and 10 layers of petals. And they're beautiful, but they really don't look like a rose to me. They look like some kind of a blossom of mutant plant. I wanted my roses to have at least somewhat correct looking. So I made sure some of my numbers were more accurate. I'm also using a much lighter gauge material than a lot of guys use. Yep. Grease is always fun to have on your pliers. Now, my roses, the thorns in my roses are MIG welded in, and they are not sharp because I don't want people to get angry at my roses. But I'll tell you what, these bottom pieces, I forget the name of them. It's usually the green part right underneath the flower. Those are sharp when I'm done, so I try and twist those down under. And usually on a rose that they are already done like that. I mean, nature opens up the flower, and then you have these things, which some of them get twisted, some of them get bent, some turn in on themselves. You try to keep the points to where they won't stab people, but you can't stop them all. So I figure you're buying a rose, you should be expecting some kind of thorn issue at some point. And I warn people before they buy them. Now underneath on my leaves, I put my touch mark on the bottom of one leaf. So if you ever see a rose and it's got that TDY symbol on it, you know it was made by me. And we're going to heat this up so we can pull those leaves out a little bit. If you have any questions about any of the stuff you see me do, just throw a question down in the comment section, because I look at these videos regularly. Whenever somebody gives them a like, I check it out. I'm not like some of the blacksmiths out there that have 1,000 or 2,000, or like Alex Steele, 1 million people following me. I got about 200 people that follow me, and I am more than happy to answer any questions you might have. They may not be the answer you want, but I will definitely give you an answer. I'm looking at actually going into, I tried Twitter. That was a mistake. I know the president likes Twitter, and I know some people like Twitter, but it is not for craft people. It's for people to whine, bitch, and moan, and that is not what I was looking for. So I am going to try Instagram. I have zero knowledge of Instagram, but from what I can tell, that's where everybody goes to look at stuff. It's the new Facebook. And I'm getting really sick of some of the things Facebook's been doing. So maybe I'll try Instagram and see if it's a little bit better of an environment for me. YouTube seems to be okay, although I'm not sure I do enough videos. This one will be on YouTube before it goes to Instagram. And there we go. That rose will get painted any color I can get paint for. I usually use an oil-based paint and hand paint these green and whatever color that is, and sometimes I'll leave the thorns unpainted so that they will get a patina, and you'll see a little bit of a red rust in there, so that makes them look more like a thorn, in my opinion. That's it. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Like me, follow me, do whatever the little buttons tell you to do, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.